All the players are in place. Liv, Liz, and Cy. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I'm going up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is going to be my review for Scandal. This is season 5 and it's episode 11. So, as I said, all the players in this episode, we see all the players getting lined up for this new presidential race. Let me just go ahead and go right on into this. We first start right off with Liv and Melly going back and forth about this book situation still. So she's laying everything out. She goes over some things. Liv has read some things, and Liv told her, get rid of chapter 2. You need to replace chapter 2 with explaining why you actually stayed. Once you knew that Fitz was having an affair, why did you stay at the White House? Melly got really bothered by that whole situation. Okay, she got real bothered and she went around and around about it. She's like, well, you know what? And I think she thought that Liv was really trying to just like drag information out of her to just make her feel bad or something. But she said, no, baby, you asked for Olivia Pope. You got Olivia Pope. This is what the people want to hear. This is the scandalous stuff that the people want to hear. Why did you stay? Once you knew what was going on, why would you stay? So Melly was like, you know what? It ain't none of their damn business. You know, she's like, it's none of their business. And I'm not telling them that. And then she says to Melly, you don't know, do you? You don't know. You don't know why you stayed, do you? So Melly went away. She came back. And then she told Olivia, you know what? You never actually had him. You never had what we had. We had 23 years of a real relationship. Sure, you had your broom closets and your sleazy motel and hotel rooms, and you even had your little private, what you thought was private homes in Vermont that you thought nobody knew about. So, but not, all you were, honey, was a plaything. You were a plaything for him. And then he packaged you up with the trash and sat you out on trash day. I said, oh, my gosh. And Olivia was like, that is enough, Melly. And she told Olivia, you know what? Why did you stay? Why didn't you stay? And told her, thank you, Olivia. I'll thank you for all your help and I'll send you a check for your time. And marched on out of there. I said, okay, Melly. All right, no problem. So Olivia was feeling some kind of way because she literally did just let Olivia have it. But then she ends up, later on, she ends up returning. And I don't want to take everything out of context, so I'm going to jump into Cy at this point. Cy basically ends up, he's having run-ins with Fitz. He's trying to tell Fitz things to do, and Fitz is like, go away. He literally is just not, he just is not receptive to any of what Cy has to say. It's like he's purposely doing whatever the opposite thing that Cy wants him to do. So Cy's taking it very, very personal, and it's starting to get on his nerves. There was this whole little situation with this chick Lillian Forrester that wants to do. She's a journalist, wanted to do an interview with Fitz, and Cy felt as though he shouldn't do it. Fitz is like, I'm doing it. This girl was clearly flirting with Fitz, clearly flirting with him, and then eventually, as we go forward in the episode, when they go to try to really sit down and do the interview, she ends up flirting again and then tells them, you know, I really have a big crush on you. Shit, they scrapped the interview and ends up going out planning to go out to dinner. So he's liking on her too. I said, oh, there you go. The hoarder kicked back up in his ass. He's right back to, being himself. So Cy and all his foolishness, he ends up going to, he's just, like I said, getting all flustered about this shit with Fitz. So he goes to a bar, which Melly actually went to the bar too. They run into each other, and then them two collide, and they're just talking back and forth. And Cy's like saying some things about Melly, about her run for president and how easily she should be able to do it because she could just, squash whoever's apt to be an opponent, which would the main one that we know of that is Susan, since she's the vice president. So naturally, they think Susan will run, so you can squash her. So Melly kind of like cuts him off and says, you know what? I already have someone to run my campaign. Just like cut him off, and he's like looking at her like, really, really, bitch. So no need to go no further with that whole situation. And then she sits and says, we made him. We made Fitzgraham the third. We made him. We made a president. So I looked at that bitch and said, we? He said, drink up, girl. And he walked on out. Next time you see Cy, he's standing in the bedroom. Fitz is laying in the bed. He wakes Fitz up and tells him, I gotta go. He said, what's going on? He said, my cousin died, and I have to go. I don't have to leave for a funeral. I have to go. So he tells him, I'm sorry and everything like that. Cy goes on off. Cy ain't went nowhere about no cousin that died. He took his ass to Pennsylvania. And he's actually scoping on the governor of Pennsylvania. Because at first when he said it, I said, please tell me Cy ain't going to commit suicide. Because that's the kind of the way it sounded. It was like real weird. But no, he took his ass to Pennsylvania. I should have known that self-centered ass Cy wasn't going to kill himself. He went to Pennsylvania, and he's scoping on the governor of Pennsylvania. So he's going to go make himself another president. You know how Cy do. So Cy, bam, we got player number one in place. Melly turns around, goes back to Olivia, and her and Liv end up, talking. They're talking, and Melly, they're going back and forth, and Melly says, you know what, I stayed because I was free. I was free. When you came into the picture, that freed me up. That he wasn't all up underneath me and all in my face. I had time to breathe. So I got comfortable and I stayed. I was free. And I knew that he would make me the next president because he owed me. Liv told her, girl, you can't write that nowhere. You can't write that. And she said, I know it. And then, they got that jug, honey, and they got them drinking this moonshine. Both of them drinking this moonshine and decides to live in their truth, okay? In the meantime, between time, before Liv actually met back up with Melly, she done had a little tryst with Jake. And it was so creepy and weird. It was like they got this real serious love-hate thing going on. He comes in, no dang talk, nothing. Just straight to bedroom, clothes off, bam, 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 bump uglies. Then she tells him, this is not, oh no, he told her first, I'm glad you got over your being upset with me. And she said, this is not going to happen again. And he told her, yes, it is. And walked on out. So I was like, oh, them two is a mess. Anyway, so Liv and Melly, they're getting drunk on moonshine, and they're basically standing in their truths. And Liv basically says, you left for the same reason. I left for the same reason that you stayed. You were scared. I was scared. He was, closing me in, and I wanted to be free. So I left because of the reason that you stayed. And they both said, that they really, when all three of them were together, things really did work. They battled, but it worked for everybody. So I'm like, these two whores are absolutely crazy. But it was an aha moment. And then Liv told her, that's what you write. You write that you were scared, but you're not scared anymore. It just took you a moment to figure out that you actually had all the power that you needed to stand alone without Fitz. It just took you a minute, and now you're ready. That's what you write. I said, oh my goodness. So there we got Liv now is in place. So we got Cy in place, and we got Olivia in place. So I said, okay, Pennsylvania governor for Cy, Olivia and Melly together. So now we got one more person we got to have in place. Liz, but her old shifty, shady ass, old Lizzie goes to talk to David Rosen. She telling David Rosen, we need to get Susan to run for president. Susan's like, I don't want to do that. She don't want to do it. And Liz is like, we need to go ahead and make a president. And don't try to act like you don't know what's going on. She's in love with you. Oh, and then she called her a Muppet. So that Muppet is in love with you. Talked about that bracelet. He said, I only gave her the bracelet because you turned the bracelet down. She said, child, nobody care about that bracelet. The bracelet was ugly. And she loves it because she's in love with you. You go and you do what you need to do with her to convince her to run for president. Or if I don't get what I want, then you're not getting what you want anymore. That's the oldest stinking whore. So David goes and asks her out on a date. And, that just made her day. God, and I said, oh, Lord. So he asked her out. She's so damn politically correct. All the things that he was asking her about, she'd already done. Like a picnic, going to the top of the Washington Monument, just different shit like that that's boring. She hadn't done all that boring shit with her daughter. So he decides, have you ever been out for fries? Like French fries and onion rings. So he ends up taking her to this place. She had the best time. The best time, okay? Little place called Gettysburg. But they got fries and onion rings and special sauce. And she got her life. She's sitting there and she was saying, and he's talking her into it. Trying to talk her into it. She says, I don't want to do that. It's not me. There's no need for me to take myself and my daughter through it, knowing I'm going to lose. I was elected to be the vice president. She knows. I was elected to be the vice president because it was solely because of the reason that Melly lacked personality. And that was it. I'm useless. I'm unelectable. And they know that Melly would be able to beat me in a presidential race and squash me like a bug. David kissed her up in her mouth and told her, don't ever call yourself names in my presence again. Child gave her life. Gave her life, honey. And then told her, built her up. And then he leaves. Remember, David Rosen actually has he has a conscience, if you will. He has a conscience. So when he comes back and he tells Liz, I'm not doing it. I'm not going any further with this. She don't want to be president, and I'm not gonna play part in making her miserable and ruining her life. I'm not gonna do it. This conscience that kicked in. And Liz was like, man, shit. Here's the paperwork. She done filed the paperwork. She's running. So it did it. And I said, but see, I think there's going to be some more problems with that because, like I said, David's conscience then kicked in. But anyway, him and Liz start getting down. They start screwing. I said, oh my God. So that's the mess. So now we got Liz in place. That's what you told me. Let's make a president. Liz is in place. Cy's in place. And Olivia is in place. So now we're going to have this. It's going to be this versus. It's getting ready to be a goddamn mess. Shit is getting ready to go down. And one little small thing that happened, the last thing, Marcus still walking around, eggshell walking around Huck. He finally goes and tells Huck, you know what, I ain't going nowhere, man. I'm here to stay. It is what it is. And Huck just like dropped it. Was like, kind of warmed up to him, opened up a little bit. And Huck actually does like him. We've seen that in the last episode. He likes him, but he just wants to protect him. But he did open up a little bit. So that's it. That's all that happened. It was a really good episode. I enjoyed it. It was funny. It was funny to see everybody being in their roles that they're usually in. And it wasn't boring. This was a good episode. So that's it. That's all I got. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Y'all know how that works. And I'll see y'all next Thursday. Bye, guys.